This happened roughly last year. I had gotten my first home in Toronto because I had recently gotten a job as a chiropractor. The house I was renting wasn't a very nice or big house, but it was still able to house me before I could afford something better. One day when I had gotten off the city bus and started walking home from my job after finishing my shift, I made eye contact with a homeless-looking man on the side of the road. He tried to ask for some money, but I quickly walked away, not wanting to speak to this man. I got home and started putting away my things. As I was washing my dirty dishes, I looked out of my kitchen window to see the same homeless man sitting on my front porch. While I was staring in horror, the man looked back at me. I immediately shut my blinds and tried to think of a way to get rid of this guy. The sound of knocking disrupted my thought process. The first thing that came to my mind was to go and check that I had locked my front door properly, because I had the habit of leaving it unlocked because, while growing up, I had lived in a rather safe neighborhood. The knocking continued all throughout the rest of the night. I thought it would never stop, but eventually it died down. The morning after, I went to go and check outside, but to my relief, he was no longer there. I went back inside and started my daily routine of having a shower and making a cup of coffee, and then I was off to work, grabbing my stuff and walking out the door. At that moment, it felt like I had forgotten to do something, but I couldn't figure out what it was. I realized that if I kept walking slowly, trying to think about what I had forgotten, I would miss the city bus and be late to work. Once I got home again, I felt an eerie feeling. Something wasn't right. As I walked up my front porch, I noticed that my screen door had been slightly opened. I panicked, trying to remember if I had locked my door before leaving my home. I opened my front door and realized that it had been unlocked. I felt a chill go down my spine. I looked around my house with caution, trying to figure out if something had been stolen or someone had entered my home. I looked around and nobody was to be seen, and all of my possessions were left as they were that very morning. It was as silent as a mouse, so I figured that nobody could be here. I put away my things before walking to my room. As I was putting on pajamas, I felt like something was wrong, but I was too lazy to go and figure out what. As I started writing in my journal, I heard the sound of my refrigerator buzzing. It meant somebody had opened it. The fridge had been pretty old, so when you opened the door, it would make an unpleasant buzzing noise. To back up my thoughts of someone being in my home, I heard footsteps, and they sounded like they were heading to the basement door, which was right next to my room. My mind immediately went back to last night, and this morning. The homeless man, me forgetting something, the screen door being opened, it was all starting to connect. This man was in my home, and there was no way a 160-pound woman like me would be able to defend myself against a man whose weight and height were unknown to me. I grabbed my phone and dialed 911, telling them about my situation. The operator told me that the police would arrive in about 20 minutes, so I would have to stay put for the time being. I had nothing to defend myself with, and had no idea what the homeless man was planning to do next. The operator heard how scared I sounded, and suggested leaving the house or looking for an object to defend myself with in my room. I was too scared to leave my room, so I started looking for something that could be used as a weapon. I found a pair of scissors in my nightstand. I finally felt safer knowing that I had a weapon to defend myself with. I heard the footsteps of the man coming up to the main floor. After coming up to the main floor, I saw his feet stop under my door. He must have known I was in the house and probably knew I had called the cops. He knocked on my door and asked if I had called the cops. He said he wasn't going to hurt me if I told the operator that everything was okay. I didn't respond because I was too scared to speak. The operator foolishly spoke again, telling me the cops were almost there. The man heard the operator and started wailing and banging on my door. Just in time, the police arrived and barged through the door. They started yelling at the man. I could hear the chaos that started from outside my door. The man was detained and arrested that day. After that experience, I made an alarm on my phone to tell me to lock my door every day.